Euzubillahimineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Elhamdülillahi Rabbil alemin. Ve salatu ve selamu ala Resulina Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve sahbihi ecma'in. Radiyallahu anna ve ankum ve an kâfetil müminin. Rabbena atina min ledunke rahmeten ve hi'lena min emrina raşada. I was on a trip with my university in an African country. We visited the biggest, the largest university, the most prestigious university in that country, and the president of the university and the board of trustees, they made a presentation to us, and they proudly told us that university was transferred to them when the English withdrew. And after that, they became in charge of the university. And I asked them, what changed after you took over? They said, nothing. We kept everything the same, in a very proud manner. This answered my question that this is like voluntary self-colonization. So the colonizers are so smart that they don't need to like send people to continue their colonial system. So they have volunteers to do the job for free, and they'll be like even more effective. So they thought that that the education became Islamic simply because the fact that people who are sitting in those chairs, they are Muslims, and they're maintaining the Western educational system set up by the colonialists. So this is the perception of many people today in the Muslim world. If the principal and the teachers are Muslims, then the education is Islamic. But in reality, this is not true, because I mean, a Muslim may be doing something wrong. The fact that the Muslim is doing it does not make it a legitimate, does not make it a right thing. We have to look at the content of it. That's why it's very important to have a clear understanding about what makes education Islamic. What are the principles? What are the criteria to judge whether an education system is Islamic or not? And I already made an introduction to the things that I am going to talk about. I listed some of the criteria that I'm going to talk about. So let me list them again, and then I will explain what I mean by each one. So the first one, set the purpose of education as raising insan-ı kamil. Okay, so that's the first one. The purpose of education is to raise insan-ı kamil. The second one, the method of education is ta'lim and tezkiyeh. So that's the second. So the first one, purpose. Second one, method. The third one is set the identity as Islamic civilization. And the fourth one, adopt multiplex worldview of Islam. The Islamic worldview, which is multiplex, which has multiple layers. So that's the fourth one. Because if the worldview is not Islamic, you cannot call education Islamic. I mean, if you are teaching a positivistic worldview or a materialistic worldview, which is imported from somewhere else, and you may have like all the teachers with nice beards and jallabiya, but this is not Islamic education. What makes education Islamic is the worldview which is taught there. And then the fifth principle is universalism in our relations to the others. And the sixth one is the equality of men and women in education. And the seventh one is isnat, which is the personal relationship between teacher and the students. And the eighth one is usul al-fiqh as a rational method of thinking. And the ninth principle is finance education through waqf. Finance education through waqf. This is the way our education system was financed. So I am setting it as a criteria that financing of Islamic education should be independent of any government, any state. And I will explain what I mean by this further. All right, so we already talked about the purpose of Islamic education, which is raising Insan-ı Kamil, and the concrete model of Insan-ı Kamil is Rasulullah Aleyhissalatu Vesselam, and his most distinctive feature was ihsan, that he did everything in a perfect manner. So if someone asks me, please summarize the Sunnah or the lifestyle of Prophet Muhammad in one sentence, then I would answer, هو كان يعمل بما هو الأولى والأفضل في الحال. He practiced the best possible action in any given circumstance. So no one could come and say, Prophet Muhammad did so and so, but if he had done so and so, it could have been better. No one can say this, because he did the best thing ever possible in any circumstances from his childhood until his last breath. So the summary of the Sunnah is doing the best thing possible in any given circumstance. And the best thing possible in any given circumstance, al-amal bima huwa al-awla wal-afdal fil hal, it changes depending on the conditions. Sometimes it is making salat, but sometimes it's playing with children. Sometimes it's sleeping. Sometimes having fun. Sometimes going to picnic. Sometimes playing with your students. So look at the life of Prophet Muhammad. If you want to know in any condition what's the best thing for me to do, ask yourself, what's the sunnah in this condition? So let's say you have guests at home. So the best thing is not to make salat or make zikr or read Quran while you have the guests. The best thing is to have fun with the guests and serve them. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam provided us a very concrete example of who Insan Kamil is, and that's the purpose of our education. And one of the distinctive features other than ihsan and al-amal bima huwa al-awla fil hal is halawatul iman, that Rasulullah sallallahu had the taste of faith. So practicing religion was not something mechanical. It was not like something like following the laws set by the state. It was out of pleasure. And Rasulullah explained this in a hadith. He said, ثلاث من وجد فيهن وجد حلاوة الإيمان. So if someone has the three following qualities, will get the taste of faith, taste of religion, taste of Islam. So when I read this hadith for the first time, it was shocking for me. It was a revolution in my thinking, because I read so many philosophy books and theology books. None of them talked about halawat al-iman. And even today, I asked my brothers who are specialized in ilm al-kalam, I asked them, do your books on ilm al-kalam talk about halawat al-iman? They say no, we have no chapter talking about halawat al-iman, because they are interested only on the logical and rational side of iman. But Rasulullah sallallahu as an insan kamil had this taste, and he offered this taste to others. So our education system should raise people who enjoy the taste of iman and who can offer this taste to others as well. And what are those three things to have a taste of iman? First, أن يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه مما سواهما. So he must love Allah and His Messenger more than anyone and anything else. So, my dear teachers, your students should aim this. And our educational system should aim raising people who love Allah and His Messenger more than anything and anyone else. They should not obey Allah the way they obey policemen or a warden. They should obey out of love and pleasure. And they should establish this love relationship. So the iman in Islam has love dimension. Faith in Islam without love is incomplete. A required part of iman is love. And this, sometimes I talk about loving Allah and loving Messenger. Like one brother came to me and said, you know, this is nonsense. You talk like Christians. They talk about love. You know, I am talking with a hadith, you know, and verses from the Quran. But, you know, there's a Christian propaganda that Islam is not a religion of love. And even our Muslim brothers and sisters, they internalize this. قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهِ. Yani tell them that if you love Allah, follow me, so that Allah also loves you. So see, this love is part of religion. And insan kamil has perfect love for Allah and for the Messenger of Allah. And then second thing is أن يحب المرء لا يحبه إلا لله. He should love other people not for anything else, but only for the sake of Allah. So if you love other people, not just Muslims, but all other people for the sake of Allah, then you are qualified to get the taste of iman. This was also something very shocking for me when I read this hadith for the first time, because what does iman have to do with the way I am relating myself to other people? Because I thought iman something philosophical that you have, you know, in mind. So this hadith is telling me that you know, the way I interact with other people, whether with love or not, has an impact on my iman. So if this hadith had not been in Bukhari, I would say this is fabricated. You know, it's talking about taste of iman, and then saying that the way like you interact with other people has an impact on whether you get the taste of iman or not. But this is the dominant paradigm today. This is the dominant way of thinking, because we think that iman is just in the heart, and the way we interact with other people doesn't influence our iman. But this hadith tells us otherwise, and we should be aware that the final product we aim to produce, this person, the insan kamil, will be required to relate to others with love. And this love is altruistic love for the sake of Allah Ta'ala, because this is a very solid foundation for love. Because if I love somebody because she's beautiful, then she may lose the beauty. But if I love her for the sake of Allah, Allah, you know, will never be lost. the faith is iman will never fade, but the beauty may fade. So it's very solid foundation for love in interpersonal relations. And the third one is أن يكره من أن يعود إلى الكفر كما يكره أن يقذف في النار. One should hate from committing a sin or from going back to kufr or disbelief, as though he hates being thrown into hellfire. So 3 articles about love: how you love Allah, how you love His Messenger, and how you love other people. So 3 articles about love: how you love Allah, how you love His Messenger, and how you love other people. And then the third one about hate, hating the sin. So all these things, they are actions of the heart. And the true action takes place in the heart. And when you activate your heart, then you are qualified to get the taste of iman. So the insan kamil has dual core. Like there are computers with dual core, right? So it has dual core, like action going on in the heart and the physical actions. It's a parallel processing. Action in the heart, this in particular, these 3 actions, a'malul qalb, these are the things that qualify him to have the taste of iman. And unfortunately today, we focus only on the physical actions, the physical side of our religion, and neglect the a'malul qalb, the spiritual side, and this is what makes us lose the taste of iman. And that's why the biggest problem of the ummah today, we don't enjoy iman. Our iman is tasteless. And the people who look at us from outside, they don't see that we have a joy when we practice our religion. And they are not attracted to it. But if they see that you have the greatest happiness, you have the greatest joy when you practice your religion, they will be attracted to it, because everyone is after happiness in this world. So these are the basic salient features of al-insan al-kamil, which is the purpose of Islamic education. But today in education there are different models of human being to be produced. Like, let's say there is Montessori. What kind of human being they want to educate? Or like there are other education models. What kind of human being they want to educate? It is not insan kamil. So the purpose of what kind of human being we want to educate is different from one education system to other education system. And usually the national educational systems, they want to educate good citizens to accept the national ideology and to serve the nation state. But insan al-kamil is free to serve only to Allah. He is not enslaved neither by shaitan, nor by nafs, nor by any other human authority. The real freedom is internal freedom, from shaitan and from nafs, and also the external political freedom. So today, the issue of freedom focuses only on political freedom. And a woman who's enslaved by shaitan and by nafs claims that I am free because she has political freedom. But internally, she's enslaved by nafs and shaitan. So insan kamil has this freedom. And without freedom, one cannot become insan kamil. And the second distinctive feature of Islamic education is the methodology used in education, which is ta'lim and tazkiyah. So look at those existing educational models. Which one has ta'lim and tazkiyah together? None of them. So if you implement them, your education system is not going to be Islamic. I mean, there may be things you may learn from them, especially in the field of ta'lim, but there is nothing for you to learn from them in the field of tazkiyah. Because tazkiyah assumes a particular type or particular concept of human being that has heart. So which pedagogical system today accepts that human beings have hearts? And then akal, reason, is a function of the heart, subdued to heart. So al-insan al-kamil thinks with the heart. This is what Islamic psychology, Islamic psychology tells us. According to Islamic psychology, we think with our hearts, not with our minds. Our mind is a tool of our heart. The highest command center of a human being is the heart. And reason and the nafs and brain and all our other limbs, these are just tools of the heart. They serve the heart. So this is how Islamic psychology looks and defines a human being. So the tazkiyah is to educate and to clean the heart and the cleaning from nafs, especially from the demands of nafs ammara. So Islamic education in this regard stands in the middle. The materialist education systems, they say, give the nafs whatever it wants. This is the way to happiness. And the Christian and the Buddhist and the Hindu education system say just the opposite. Kill your nafs. No earning, no marriage, no children, no property, leave everything. So two opposite views on how to educate people and how they reach perfection and how they become happy. But the Islamic view is on the middle. Control your nafs with your reason. And the reason should be controlled by the heart. So don't kill your nafs. I mean, fulfill your desires within the boundaries of halal. So this is what our education system should teach the children. Fulfill your desires within the boundaries of halal. So sex, okay, go and marry through halal. You want to earn money, okay, through halal ways, it's possible, you know. You want to become rich, all right, there is a way for it. So it is the middle way. So the nafs should not dominate the human beings, which is the materialist view. And today, in my view, modern civilization is the civilization of nafsul ammara, evil ordering nafs, without any control, without any filter. And today, how to satisfy nafs ammara is institutionalized. So nafs want, let's say, to become famous. Okay, this is very good. There are institutions to teach you how you become famous. And then, you know, you want to follow your lust. Okay, it's institutionalized. And like everything which comes from nafs ammara is taken as natural drive. They think this is natural drive. And they say you have to satisfy these drives and desires. So some of them says the most basic drive is sexual drive in human beings. It is not to be suppressed. if it's suppressed, it causes psychological illness. So satisfy your sexual desire as much as you can. And if you are a young man, unmarried, without girlfriend, you have a psychological problem. What's wrong with you? You know, and the same way for the girls. If she doesn't have a boyfriend, there is they think she has a psychological problem because she's not satisfying the most basic desire, which they think natural, but we think it is not natural. You know, we think this is coming from nafs ammara, and it should be controlled and it should be satisfied in a halal way. This is the meaning of tazkiyah, that purification of the heart from the impact of the shaitan and the nafs, because nafs exists with us and the shaitan is the outside enemy. So we have to control nafs and satisfy, but and reject any influence coming from the shaitan. And the tazkiyah of nafs takes place through serving others, through serving other human beings. Khidmah. Sayyidul Qawmi khadimuhum khayrun nasi anfa'un nas. This is how Prophet Muhammad ﷺ defined. So you offer services to the creatures of Allah, and not just human beings, but also animals and even plants. You serve them. This cleans your heart. Look, if you serve others, can there be any arrogance in your heart? Arrogance gets cleaned and humility replaces it. If you serve others, can there be jealousy? No. Jealousy gets cleaned and altruism takes its place. And if you serve others, can there be selfishness? No. If you serve others, can there be stinginess? No. All these bad qualities get removed and all good qualities flourish. That's why in our education, people were put in the service of others if they want to gain good character. And Rasulullah, he set the best example for this. He was serving his companions. He was serving his wives. He was serving his children. So he was setting a good example for others. So serving others is the best method in cleaning our hearts, and this should be integrated in our educational system. So the students should serve each other, should serve the community, should take care of the trees and the flowers in the garden, and even in the inside, like house plants, because this teaches them like to care about others, to expand from their selfish and egoistic world towards others. So I have a program, education program for girls. I told them that each one should have a flower inside the institution. And then some bought and then put it somewhere and start taking, and the others, they didn't. So I asked them, why didn't you, have a flower to raise and to take care? They said, but professor, this is difficult. We have to always think about them and give water, And I said, this is the exact reason why I want you to have a flower, so that you feel the responsibility of taking care of it. So the successful people have a risk in front of them that they may get focused on their self-achievement only. Be successful, more success, more success, more success, and the school pushes them to more success, more success. Then at the end, they become self-enclosed. They don't care about the people and the nature around them. They just want more success, more success. So what's the success without, without humanity, without care to others. So these methods, they were used traditionally in our educational system, and in the Ottoman education system, so the student was required to serve the teachers and other students. And the best example of this, how Sayyidina Khidr served Musa alayhi salam. In this story, Musa alayhi salam tells Khidr, bring our lunch. And before I read this story, I was not asking anything from the students, because I thought this is wrong. They should be free, and they should not serve me. And then after I read this, I told them, please bring my lunch. See what I mean? So, and I saw that this creates a bond between the teacher and the student. The student who serves the teacher loves the teacher more, and the teacher who's served by the student loves the student more. So it creates a bond between the two. So this is something we learn from them, between the teacher and the student. The student who serves the teacher loves the teacher more, and the teacher who's served by the student loves the student more. So it creates a bond between the two. So this is something we learn from them. And also, like in the Quran, you see teachers and students, they travel together. Like Khidr and Musa alayhi salam, they travel together. So the best way of educating students is like traveling with them together, sharing with them, not in the classroom, sharing the experiences. And the third one is the like adopting Islamic civilization as a social, political, cultural identity, and claiming the legacy of Islam from the very beginning until today. Whatever our ancestors are produced, we are proud of them. We are proud of their architecture, we are proud of their calligraphy, we are proud of the arts they produce, like marble paper, miniatures, like book making, like carpets. Like all these things, we are proud of them. So, this is not religion, but these things are produced based on the values derived from religion. So, like our carpets, for instance, the image they have is the image of paradise. The image on our carpets, usually the image of paradise, but in an abstract manner. And the mosque, there is a book by Mimar Sinan, the architect Sinan, who was the architect of Süleyman the Magnificent. He talks about the symbolism in the Süleymaniye Mosque. He says the mosque is Islam, the building of Islam, and the kubba is the Tawheed, and the four pillars, they represent four Arkan al-Islam: Sawm, Salat, Hajj, Zakat. And then he says it also represents, the dome is Prophet Muhammad, and the four pillars, these are Khulafa al-Rashidin. And also he says the mosque is the branch of the Kaaba. That's why the size of Süleymaniye Mosque is a multiplied size of the Kaaba. And he says, because there is water in Kaaba, Zamzam, that's why I put water in Süleymaniye Mosque. And he says, the mosque is the world. He says, that's why I made the windows colorful, and the dome is like the sky. So the one who enters the mosque, he enters the whole world, and the world is symbolically represented there. And he says, the mosque is paradise. And he says, the one who enters the mosque should think he entered the paradise. Because there is water in paradise, I put water inside the mosque, and also I made the windows colorful so that the light colorful lights, like dancing, should remind the angels in paradise flying around to person who is worshipping there. So he used many symbolisms. So these are not like in the Quran or in the Sunnah. These are, things derived from the Quran and the Sunnah. This is civilization. So we claim this civilization. This is our civilization, and we are very proud of it. But there are, if you think that there is a golden age in the beginning of Islamic history, and then like 1,000-year long dark age, and then there is awakening, Nahda, in the 19th century, and before that there is 1,000-year darkness, and everything Muslims produced in this 1,000 year is rubbish. We have to reject it. This is a very wrong idea in education, because this undermines the confidence of the students, and this erases the pride in the student with its culture and civilization. So our educational system should integrate like all these elements from Islamic civilization. You cannot just say, okay, I just teach the Quran and the Sunnah, this is enough. We have to be broad-minded in this regard. And also, for the future of humanity, we should aim what Islam promised to humanity. So Islam promised to humanity a global system based on justice. And this is what's called Nizam al-Alam. In this system, like Muslims, non-Muslims, they live in peace and justice, and our children should have this future vision, should have this future utopia, that we Muslims are here to bring peace to the whole world, to bring justice to the whole world. So such a future vision is very important for our educational system to teach to the children. And fourthly, the worldview, Islamic worldview. So what is unique with the Islamic worldview is that it is multiplex. Multiplex means it has multiple layers. First, in the field of existence, which is technically called in philosophy ontology. So we believe that existence has multiple layers. So there's material level, alam al-shahada, and then there is non-material level, the spiritual, invisible layer, alam al-ghayb, yu'minuna bil-ghayb. So that's one of the first verses in the Quran. So it reminds that the existence, the world is not unilayered, it is not just material, but there is a ghayb, which is invisible. So this is what I mean when I say multiplex worldview, that there is material level and there is non-material level, and then the divine level, which is the level where Allah Ta'ala exists, and He's neither material nor non-material. He's unique. So there are like three levels of existence, but there is a division in Western philosophy since the time of Aristotle and Plato. There are materialists and there are idealists and there are reductionists. So we are materialists too, but we reject reductionism. We accept that there is material existence, but we don't say everything the matter. We say there is ideal level as well. So we are idealists, but we are not reductionists. We don't say like everything consists of ideals, like invisible beings, and that's it. No, we just say this is a layer in the existence of it. So the same, this multiplex approach to existence produces multiplex knowledge, because our knowledge about the material world cannot be the same of our knowledge about al-ghayb, alam al-ghayb. You need a different type of knowledge. So the type of knowledge you have about stones must be different than the type of knowledge you have about angels. You cannot say they are all the same and one type of knowledge is enough for everything. So these are like different types of knowledge, and these different types of knowledge, they are acquired by multiplex methodology. So you need a different methodology to study stones, another methodology to study angels, because they are completely different things. And this is traditionally called maratib al-wujud, maratib al-ulum, and maratib al-usul. This is how our ancestors called it. And the end result is maratib al-haqaiq, that multiplex truth. Because what's true at the material level may not be true in the spiritual level or in alam al-ghayb. Do you know that there is gravity in paradise? But some people think so, but I'm not sure. You know, and do you think that the biology will be the same in paradise? I don't think so, but some people think the same, because I believe that truth is multiplex, and there is a great difference between the moon and the earth. And the moon is just, you know, a celestial body in the orbit of the earth. So if there is such a great difference between the closest, you know, planet to earth, then there must be even greater difference between the material level of existence and the non-material level of existence. So we should not be reductionist. We should not project the laws and rules in this globe to al-alamin. It would be wrong. So our educational system should teach children this multiplex worldview. We should not just, you know, teach them the materialistic scientific view. So one day I was listening to my daughter. So she was like reading something for homework, and she was saying the world is endless, because this is how it's written in the textbook. You know? And then I said only Allah is endless. How can the world would be endless? Because those materialists who wrote the textbook, you know, in their view, the whole world is just material, and there is nothing beyond material existence. So, like all these textbooks should be rewritten. So our teachers, our principals and head teachers, you know, they should not use the existing textbooks. They should aim producing their own textbooks based on this multiplex worldview. So, and the most important difference is that, like, we don't object anything they say about material existence, but the only difference is that we are not reductionists. We don't say everything is about that. There is nothing beyond it. And the fifth feature of the Islamic education is universalism when it comes in relating to others. And Rasulullah ﷺ was very universalistic, and the Quran is very universalistic. You know, Allah Ta'ala calls in the Quran, Ya ayyuhan nas. The address is the whole humanity, but not just the Muslim community. And we should educate our children in such a way that they act in an ethical, moral way, not only with Muslims, but also with non-Muslims. Because Rasulullah is a good example. You know, he used to borrow money from the Jews, and then he even left his shield, you know, before he died to a Jew. From him, he borrowed money. He could have borrowed money from a Muslim. Why did he borrow from a Jew? Why didn't he borrow from Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman? But he borrowed from a Jew to teach us a lesson that you can do business, you know, with people who are not Muslim, right? And also education of new generations, and it's based on one-to-one relationship between the teacher and the students. It's customized education. It's individualized education. So in the Ottoman education system, every student had a teacher, and that teacher gave lessons to this one student separately. There was no mass production. And my Shaykh, rahimahullah, he told me once that he started teaching after Salat al-Fajr, and he finished before Isha. And I said, how many students you had? He said, around 30. And I said, why didn't you just bring them together and just give a class after Salat al-Fajr and finish? And he laughed. He said, this is your way. This is modernist way. He said, we teach everyone separately. You know, because he said, the level of understanding and the appetite and hard work of every student vary from each other. So you cannot put them in same class. He said this would be injustice. You know, to those who are weak, they will feel oppressed, and also to those who are like superior, they will feel unsatisfied. That's why, you know, there was no class in the madrasa, just individual students. So one student completed everything in 2 years, the other in 5 years. So they were being educated one by one. And I was shocked when I learned that in the Fatih madrasas, there are 8 madrasas, it's called Sahm al-Thamam. In these 8 madrasas, only about 110 students studied. I was completely shocked, because each student was given a separate room for each student. And each madrasa has around like 19 rooms, a few rooms for the teachers and assistants, and then around like 15 students in one college under the education of some teachers, and the teachers were educating them individually, giving them customized education. So no education system can reach to this high quality, because you think it is costly, because your measure is financial. When you approach education. But they were focusing completely on the quality of education, regardless of how much it would cost. This, we need to revive this tradition to the extent we can. And also the 8th principle or 8th criterion about what makes Islamic education Islamic is usul al-fiqh. The methodology of fiqh. Fiqh is about human action. This is the subject matter of fiqh, studying human action. And today we have social sciences also studying human action. Okay? So we have the choice. Either we teach in our schools, education system, fiqh to understand and analyze human action, or you teach social sciences, which is based on positivistic, secularistic, materialistic understandings. So I advocate that we should adopt fiqh to study human action, and usul fiqh is the method for doing so. And usul fiqh is the methodology to be used to understand the Quran, the Hadith, and also studying human action. It is the general methodology of all Islamic disciplines, and it is the methodology of Islamic reasoning. So I have to be brief about this. And then the 9th criterion I'd like to draw your attention is financing education independent of any authority. And this was done traditionally through waqf. And the Ottoman education system was completely based on waqf. And most of those waqfs, they were established by sisters, by Muslim women, because they had lots of money and they were not required to spend on the family. The poor men, they were required to spend on the family, take care of the family, and the women, they saved money. They did not spend on jewelry, and nice clothing. So they invested their money on waqf. There are many universities in Turkey, like madrasas from Ottoman time, set up by women. And the largest madrasa in the Anatolian side, the Atik Valide Külliyesi. So this is a university. It is the largest, probably in the Asia. I don't know. So it is set up by women. And do you know the first university in the world? Who set it up? Fatima Al-Fahriya, and it is in Morocco. It was also established by women. So without women's touch, you man is not enough, to make a good quality education. You need more and more women, and also finance coming from women, not just teaching. So our women were motivated to set up foundations to finance education and set up educational institutions. But unfortunately, this memory, this social memory, this custom now is forgotten. Women is marginalized in the modern period, but they were more active traditionally. This is opposite of the image we have today. According to studies, 60% of the foundations in the Ottoman Empire were set by women. This is amazing. When I learned this, I was completely shocked. And now I tell all my female students, that you should be like those women. You should have the purpose of setting up Vakıf. So Vakıf, as a financing institution, kept Islamic educational institutions free from outside intervention. And today we are so eager to get funding from this political authority, from this authority, etc. I don't approve this. This is not the best strategy for us to maintain our independence from external authorities. Like our ulama from the very beginning. So where did Abu Hanifa die? In prison. Why? Because he was offered to be the Minister of Justice and he refused. And the same way, like Ahmed bin Hanbal, none of the great imams were employees of the state. They did not accept any position from the state. Why? Because they wanted to maintain the free, independent identity of scholarship. And they did so, alhamdulillah. And Imam Malik also refused to make Muwatta like a positive law of the country. So they were very concerned maintaining this identity, and also this is good for the state that civil society finances education, but we Muslims should be more, more active in building civil society organizations to care about the problems of the society around us. And we should set up schools, hospitals to serve everyone, not just Muslims, for everyone. And in the Ottoman Empire, there was free universal health care without any penny coming from the treasury of the state. All hospitals were set up by civil society organizations, by Awqaf, and financed by Awqaf. And they were excellent hospitals. And the same way educational system, there was free education for everyone, plus scholarship, plus dormitory, everything free, full coverage, and nothing came from the treasury of the state. So this was very intelligent design, financially as well. So there are many benefits involved in establishing Awqaf and financing our educational system through Awqaf. So these are the 9 criteria which I think should be taken into account when we think about what makes Islamic education Islamic. So if there are these criteria in place, then I think this education system is Islamic. Otherwise, we become intellectually, academically dependent on others. I mean, it would be shame on us if we import even educational methods, all the books, all the theories we teach from others. Don't we have brains? Don't we have minds? Cannot we think, about nature, society, language, ourselves, come up with our own ideas? So we have to produce our own theories, concepts, and methods. We have to produce our textbooks. We have to set up the educational system, the administration, teacher-student relationship, and the financing according to our values and tradition. Thank you very much for tentatively listening at the end of the day. May Allah help you, give you the best success in your job. I see that the future generation of Muslims in UK depends on your efforts. I see that this is a very challenging duty, challenging job. But I recommend all of you that that education is the best ibadah, the best worship to Allah Ta'ala. Education is not a job. It is ibadah. Don't forget this. And it's the best ibadah. I assure you that when you teach, you are gaining more ajr than if you make nafila salat at home or read the Quran. Then you deal with those naughty students and try to teach them things with sabr. And so, because being a teacher is the profession of prophets, profession of Anbiyaullah. So you have this profession, and this is the most sacred profession. And when you leave your home and head to your school, think as if you are going to the mosque, or you're going to Umrah or Hajj. This is more important. Because I was with my Shaykh in Umrah, and we finished Umrah, and I was going to come back to Istanbul. And I asked him, I said, oh my Shaykh, we are very happy here in Kaaba, and every salat we make, we earn 100,000 times ajr for it. So is it good for me to go back to Istanbul? He said, yes, it is better for you to go back to Istanbul. Afdal, awla, ahsan. I said, how? Here I am making like 100,000 times when I make salat. He said, your ibadah here is lazim, but your ibadah in Istanbul is mutaaddi. So this is a grammar term that making salat is intransitive. Intransitive. It's only for you. You make salat, it's only for you. But if you go to Turkey and teach and answer questions, this is transitive. So he set the rule. He said the transitive ibadat is more precious than intransitive ibadat. Al-ibadat al-muta'addiyah afdal min al-ibadat al-lazimah. So if you are helping, benefiting other people through an act of worship, this is much superior compared to the acts of worship which does not have any good impact, any help towards others. So this is a sacred job, and it requires lots of patience, and may Allah help you following the sunnah of Rasulullah in fulfilling your duties as teachers. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalamu alaikum.